Hey Flosstube, I thought I'd show you a little bit of my stitchy spot. So I normally sit in the love seat that's straight ahead. In the seat that's empty here, I'm going to move toward it, and hopefully I'll be able to do this without making anybody dizzy. I'll start over here on the right hand side. This is a cabinet from IKEA called Alex. I use those in my craft room as well, and I've got like pens and notepads and things in here. In this drawer, I actually have things like rulers. I've got my fray checks, spare needles, some counting pins, just things that I like to have handy. And I've got a snack drawer. This drawer down here, if I can reach it, is Q-snaps and hoops and some things like that. So I like to have all of this right at hand. And then this is the lamp that I'm using now. I'm waiting for my daylight lamp to come. This lamp I had mentioned in my review video that the base was oblong and this light magnifying piece is actually very heavy. And if this pole isn't lined up with the oblong base, it will actually tip over. So I came up with a solution for that problem. I originally had ordered from Amazon some swivel plates that are used for bar stools, but they were too hard to turn. They would work fine, I think, with, a 150-pound person sitting on a stool. The stool would actually swivel. But for what I wanted to do, it didn't work. So I went to Home Depot, and Home Depot had them. Well, they were out of stock, but they were calling them Lazy Susan plates, which then led me to Marshall's, and I actually got a Lazy Susan, which is the pale green. I need to switch it for one in my kitchen, which is white. It's actually a Lazy Susan turned upside down, and my plan is to originally adhere it to the actual base of the lamp using like some foam tape or something, but right now the lamp is actually just sitting on top of it. But you can see now I can swing it over when I'm stitching in front of me, and I can really easily swing it back away. It's just really simple. This gooseneck is meant to be moved, but it's really stiff. It's not practical to use that to swing the lamp out of the way. So now I've got my swivel base going, and it doesn't topple over when I swing it this way. It's working perfectly. So $5 Lazy Susan. Over to my stitching spot. Let's see, at the time I'm filming this, I'm working on Gifts for My Garden from Hello from Liz Matthews. I don't always highlight, but this one I was for some reason. So I have my pattern in my stand here. This is a metal stand you can get on Amazon. I've got my scissors down here. I usually do stick those there. And then I've got magnets. I've got some needle minders happening on here. On the stool, that's my project bag and the actual project. It usually gets tossed there when I'm done stitching for the evening. This tin here always sits next to my chair. It's really nice because I can just pop the lid on it and, set it on an end table or something when I'm have company coming. But here's what I normally keep in my tin. I've got my little wort catcher that I made. That's just a couple 10-inch squares. And stuck in here is whatever floss I'm working on at the moment. So these are the flosses for the Liz Matthews that I'm stitching, and I've got one falling out. I've got some highlighters in there. There's some other junk that shouldn't be in there. This notepad is where I take note of any wish lists that I get from enabling. And then this mesa thread down here, I always have in here 310, B5200, and 3799. I use those in so many projects that I don't normally put them in my kit. They're usually just here in my tin, and I just pull them off as I need them because I do use that so much. And then in the lid of the tin, I glued one of the rare earth magnets so that I could stick needles to it. That needle minder was on a project I was working on, and it's just gotten plunked in here. Same with these cable ties that we use for fabric. So a lot of times if I'm working on a project like Welcome to the North Pole, has several color changes, but maybe you're working on a border, let's say goes blue, green, pink. I can have 3 needles threaded up and I can just move across the border and keep switching my colors. So those often get stuck here. These maybe were from projects that were finished. And then I've just left the little pieces of thread in the end just so that I can tell easily that there's a needle there. And then my pattern from whatever I'm working on is usually here. My iPad's usually back here. It's actually up here on the back of the sofa now. And a couple books that I've been trying to get around to reading. So, oops, the magnet and my thing is getting stuck. So that's my stitchy spot. And it works for me. Down here between the stool and the sofa, these are projects that I had pulled to work on at the time that I'm filming this. My temperature chart is always down here because I try to work on it every couple days at least, if not every day. If I get behind on that, I know I will never catch up. So I'm trying to just keep up with it. And then usually whatever I think I'm going to work on that week doesn't always happen, but they're right there so I can pull them. And when I'm done stitching, I normally plunk my project here, which is why it's sitting here on the stool. And then if I just move over this way, there's a little bit more stitchy stuff. This is a, it's just an envelope bag for one of my scroll frames. It's got the fabric stretched on it ready for my modern folk embroidery. Since I finally settled on fabric, I just haven't gotten around to starting that. And then I've got one of my milk glass bowls full of a bunch of pin cushions. One of them's made by me. Most of them are made by my friend Andrea. And back here, these little boxes from Hobby Lobby. They're back here. One of these has white and black silks. One has, well, and some overdyes. One has red, and then the big one has some full skeins from Silks for You. And some miscellaneous colored silks that are not white, black, or red. And then this is not normally here, but on my sofa, I have one of my project bags propped up there. It's just because I love that fabric and I wanted to look at the project bag a little longer. By the time I air this, that might be down and I'll put it over alongside the love seat where I showed the other project bag. They fit tucked in right there. This was a pillow that I made. Not from a pattern, it's just some pixelated hearts. They're little 1-inch squares. They are left over. I made a large wall hanging heart like this, and no fabric is in there more than once. So I forget how many, it's like 400 fabrics or something like that, but that's my heart. And then one more thing I was gonna show in this footstool, and hopefully I can do this without making you dizzy or creating total havoc here. This is my fabric storage. So let me see. Okay. These are all in plastic containers in here, and I have them sorted by thread count and type. So for example, this is 36 count linen. Over here we've got 32 count linen. I know right where those two are because those are my most commonly used. So I have them sorted by count, and then within count by color. A lot of times I have a specific count that I want to use, being driven by whatever floss I'm using, or the finished size that I want the piece to be. So I have them sorted by count first, and then by color within count. The other nice thing is this is actually a lot more fabric. It's an embarrassing amount. I can take photos of this, and then if I'm going somewhere where I know I'm going to have a lot of fabric, I can go, okay, in my 36 counts, which started back here, I've got lots of, you know, neutrals. I've got a nice selection of grays. I do like grays and blues, but I don't have a lot of anything else. So if I'm shopping and I'm eyeing up a piece of fabric, I can go, you know what, you don't need more grays. You've got a huge chunk of grays, but you have no, you know, whatever, greens. I actually don't have very many greens. There's just a few here. And then back here, these are bigger pieces. So those I try not to cut into unless I'm actually doing a bigger piece. So that's how I store my fabric. So hopefully there's some tip here that you can use, or you're inspired to change something with your stitchy space. I realize I'm very fortunate that I have a lot of space in my house here for myself, so I can really do a dedicated setup and leave things that way. So hope you're having a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.